Hi, just covering this, that I've just discovered about this today, about Iraq, and Israel has bombed a location in Iraq that apparently they allege was harbouring Iranian terrorists, an Iranian terrorist group. So Israel flies into Iraq, bombs this target that actually is full of military equipment and innocent people, Iraqi citizens, caused a huge explosion. Innocent Iraqi citizens, including children, 40 people dead, many more injured. It's killing one civilian and wounding 40 others, many of them children. So the weapon base reportedly belonged to the pro-Iran Kataib Saeed al-Shuhada militia, and an estimated $110 million worth of munitions were wiped out. Well, they're saying it belonged to this Iranian group. Whether it did or not, we don't know, because we've only got their word for it. But they didn't care, because all this stuff blew up. Stuff, bullets, bombs, you name it, flying out all over the place because they bombed it, and people were injured. 40 people, including children, were injured, and one civilian dead. And Ryan here is rightly outraged, as I was, because I'd only just found out the news, and then I saw this from Ryan here, and it is outrageous that Israel thinks that they can just fly into Iraq, claim, oh, some terrorists were in this location, and then bomb it, and then fly off again, and nobody bats an eyelid apparently. Never mind that citizens, children were injured, that somebody died, you know, don't bother about the Iraqi people, and then off the trot. They do the same to Lebanon all of the time. They do the same in Gaza, didn't they? We've witnessed them do it all of the time. Well, I mean, we know why they want Gaza. There's gas, there's natural gas there, so, you know, that's why they come down so heavy on Gaza. Anything happens in Israel, apparently from a Palestinian, that Palestinian, you can guarantee Gaza is going to end up getting bombed. It's that same ideology that they claim that they can bomb schools in Palestine, they can bomb whole buildings, homes, people's homes, blocks of flats with families and children in. They can bomb them because apparently there's a terrorist in there. Now, this kind of stuff has outraged and deeply upset people like myself, well, for decades, ever since I first realised the horror of what was going on in Palestine, and just being horrified and sickened by it, and getting sicker and sicker by the day, living in my country, Britain, which, as far as I'm concerned, has been under Zionist rule since Thatcher. And that's the fact of it. I know that this Zionist force of consciousness hates us. Why? Because we stand up for our rights, and we stand up for the law, and we won't accept that they are superior human beings than anybody else. And neither do we believe or accept that Jews are inferior. But they want to keep that narrative going because it has served them so well in this world, that they have this seat of power, this consciousness that's calling itself Jewish, calling itself Zionist. I know that it's not Jewish. I don't blame the Jewish people for that consciousness. It's the same consciousness that created Britain's royal family that has ruled us since William the Conqueror first set his papal serving boots onto our soil and demolished our true kingdom and our true faith and replaced it with their antiquated Roman abomination. And that's what it is, you know. And by today, the people have... We've lived with it for so long, it's just accepted as normal. We were born into a world where we just don't question these things. And even the people serving in them and that follow the faiths, you know, they're good people, they're not bad people, but nobody knows anymore because stuff gets buried. They write the history, they rewrite it, give themselves rules, create laws that create criminals like prohibition, the goose that laid the golden egg. And at the end of the day, what it's all about is having easy access to women and children, basically. And as much land as you want, and as much of this and that as you want, and being able to do what you want, and never having to face justice, never having to face reality, except your own desires and wants, whether that be bigoted evangelicalism. But you can guarantee that no matter what it is, whether it's a faith, whether it's money, whether it's children, you know, no matter what it is, it will always involve some kind of sadistic usury of humanity and the life on our planet. It will always involve ignorance. It will always involve crime. They can call themselves a Zionist or a Tory or a communist. It don't matter. It's all the same consciousness. And we need to step out of it. We need to step right out of it and accept reality of what Israel has become, what it is under these alleged Zionists. Because, you know, as I've always explained, true Zionists are Rastafarian. These people calling themselves Zionists, they are not Zionists. They are not of Yahweh. They are not serving Yahweh. They are not of Yahweh. They're of European, mostly European bigotry and usury and greed. They're perverse and criminal. And they've got their little seat of power now, feeding off the blood of the Jewish people. And just so that they can feed off the blood of the people all over the world. And, you know, how much more power is this nation called Israel in the hands of these Zionists? How much more power is it going to have? Is it going to reach the power where, oh, they might be coming into Britain to bomb Britain because there's some terrorists here? Because this is the level of control that they want to have. Now, putting the 5G out everywhere. Check out 5G, people. They want to accuse you of being a Luddite. They want to accuse you of being a conspiracy theorist. But this ain't no theory. This is reality. 5G. All controlled by Israel. They're going to be the centre of intelligence. Have you listened to Netanyahu? The guy, what that guy's saying he wants to do, you might think, oh, ha, ha, ha. No, he's going to do it. They're going to be the head, the hub of the internet. We're talking about a corporate coup of our whole planet. We can't let these people do this, because what's going on in Israel now, that's going to be the whole world all of the time. They're going to have this little system of oppression now, constant bombings here and there, police states, fascism, far-right extremists, and they'll live in their little bubble until eventually the population gets whittled down. Finally they've satisfied the extravagant and ridiculous demands of their Georgia Guidestones, which, you know, the bulk of them, I'd say, oh yeah, thank you, but the top one, maintain a human population of under 500 million. It's like, maintain? Who has a right to maintain the human population? For me, it's Yahweh who said, go forth and multiply, live in abundance, live happily. Let life be like the rainbow. Naturally, life is lawful. Naturally, the tribes people weren't sexually abusing their children and raping women, because a true father understands that is not the way to bring a child into this world. That happy mothers raise happy children. Yeah. Because these people, they haven't got no intelligence. They're like, it is literally like putting a human brain inside, well, sorry, no, I've got that totally wrong. It is like putting, you know, a wolf's brain in a human body. Or a jackal's brain in a human body. But, you know, as Jah would say, if a man is going to be like a jackal, then what point is there in being a man? He may as well just be a jackal. Because a jackal is good for being a jackal. A wolf is good for being a wolf. But when a man is like a wolf, when a man is like a jackal, what is the point? What is the point of a species that will not recognise that, look, there's something wrong with this person? You're going to have people with problems. What are you going to do? Are you going to wait till they harm humanity? Are you going to allow them to take over your nations? Is punishment going to stop them from coming? Or perhaps we need to stop raising children in a punishing world. Maybe we need to start getting human. Maybe we need to start understanding that, look, if you're going to go through life judging people according to their face or the colour of their skin, then, you know, you're going to come a cropper, because you're going to find out that actually good people and bad people are found everywhere. In every area of life and in every race. Until we understand that we are all equal, and this understanding isn't going to just arrive magically. We need to make it real. We need to make our understanding real, because this madness needs to end. And what has been going on in Palestine is absolutely, it's outrageous. It is abominable. The whole area now of Palestine and Israel has become an abomination. To call itself the Holy Land. The Holy Land. The Holy Land that these Zionists have been dropping depleted uranium in Gaza. They're calling it the Holy Land. Gaza, they actually want to occupy the whole of Palestine, apparently. Israel, that's what they're on with, isn't it? We've seen it, it's happening. They want to occupy the whole of Palestine. Apparently it all belongs to Israel. It's all the Holy Land. So what are they doing, dropping depleted uranium on it then? Please wake up to the insanity. Especially the Jewish people, especially the people of Israel. I do not stand against Israel. But I do speak out on behalf of the Palestinian people's human rights and their rights as the native people of those lands. And at least their own lands that are okay. Everything has been divided up between the powers in this world. That's what they've done. They've divided this land, that land, and moved their people in. They move us about like chess pieces. I've got nothing against the Israeli citizens, but if you're standing up, standing by the side of these murderers, because that is what they are, murderers. Britain, right at this very moment, is being governed by a set of murderers. And that's what they have done for centuries. They are murderers with criminal intent. It's a consciousness, and we need to recognise it for what it is. And we cannot we cannot permit this monster to continue. We need to arrest it in our midst, in every nation. And the people of sense and sanity, of compassion, because compassion is the true measure of intelligence, and that's why you don't find it in any of these IQ tests. Do not include a measure of compassion, and that is why the most evil people end up with, you know, splendid degrees. I'm not saying everybody who's done really well academically is by default a psychopath. Okay, but what I am saying is that it suits psychopaths perfectly. They can just glide through that unseen. In fact, receiving praises instead of being recognised. But, you know, psychopaths aren't criminals. But a criminal world will give an easy advantage to the psychopaths. And the psychopaths are easily turned into the criminal activities, easily embroiled, because that's what happens. That's what Epstein is all about. That's what Jimmy Savile was all about. Believe you me, there are hundreds of Jimmy Saviles and Epsteins operating in this world. And they've been having a feast, haven't they? And when you look at America and you think, well, how long has these sadistic, fascists been operating in America at the very highest echelons of every seat of office? And you look at the Pentagon's missing 21 trillion and you think, well, you know, how is it possible that a whole Congress and a whole Senate constantly going on about how they can't afford universal healthcare or free education or welfare, but you know, somehow they've managed to throw that much money at the Pentagon, and even 21 trillion's gone missing. And well, nobody's asking any questions about it. Oh, never mind. How do you think that happens in any nation? That the whole nation is 22 trillion in debt, and yet not one single senator or member of Congress is asking about the Pentagon's missing 21 trillion over 20 years, and even while another trillion has been given to it. Please, I am trying to connect dots here because I am trying to wake people up into your universal being, which is the very opposite of what the whole of this world is conspiring to do, either knowingly or unknowingly, and the vast majority unwittingly. And in this world right now, the people you standing with, you know, there are groups of people, that the people standing with Trump, oh, he's my best friend. He isn't. He's your worst enemy. And the people that you Trump supporters are thinking are your worst enemy, like Bernie Sanders, for example, is your best friend. But we can't stand around waiting for these people to wake up when we're awake. It's time for us, as they're all shouting their racist indoctrinations, it is time for us to stand up and shout for what's right and what's good, the love of this universe, this amazing planet that we're living on, to wake up to it and to enjoy, to feel the joy, because that's the one thing they constantly robbed us of over the centuries, is our joy, because they haven't got it in them. That's why they have to steal it, even from a child, to abuse children, to steal their joy, their futures. And that's what's happening in Palestine. And yes, it is heartbreaking for me, for people like me, and I'm just one of millions of, if not billions, of people who are heartbroken about what is happening. And who don't accept the divides of like, oh, well, these are the goodies, these are the baddies, but understand that, no, it isn't the people on the ground, this divide. There's only one divide in this world. Everybody needs to understand that. There is one divide between the good people and the bad people. And that is, do you stand up for your human rights? Do you stand up for the rights of a child to be born in a world of love? Those that do, and those that don't. Now, the vast majority of people on this planet, we stand on the side of the child and our human rights. Thank you very much, universe. And those are not for any man to give or take away. Those are our universal rights. They are unquestionable. But nobody can ask you to sign a contract to sign them away. And that is why these people now controlling Israel need to be stopped. There needs to be weapons inspectors sent into Israel, because if they've got nuclear weapons and they, you know, give them an inch and they'll take them out. You know yourself, if you don't address the rot, it spreads. If you don't address the criminal's going to commit more and more. Worse, the crimes are going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. How long is it now before Israel suddenly drops a nuclear bomb on some nation? How long is it? How long can we of this planet sit around just waiting for this craziness to get even crazier? And I am disgusted with the British Parliament, because, you know, all right, up until World War II, until after World War II, you know, the common people never had a look in Parliament, always ruled by the aristocracy, the wolf pack, okay? And we knew it as British people. We knew what they were. Murderers, thieves, child abusers, slave owners. But from post-World War II, the governments that have sat, especially the Labour governments and the Labour ministers, you know, have allowed this to slip in Britain, and to the extent that it was a Labour government, notably New Labour, that took Britain into war with Iraq, and even tried to prosecute Catherine Gunn because she leaked that memo from American intelligence asking British intelligence to dig up some dirt on UN members, on members of the UN Council, so that they could, you know, blackmail them basically with dirt to saying yes, go into Iraq, go and invade Iraq, go and liberate the people. So, you know, years later, a decade or so later, Israel can be just flying in and out whenever it pleases and dropping bombs here and there. But never mind, Big Daddy Trump's there to hold their hand. Well, no, oh yeah, and then also, you know, Boris Johnson on the other side. Sorry, no. That was not what my grandfather and all the men of his generation signed up to join the British Army to defend and protect. That is totally the opposite of what they joined the British Army to give their lives for. They did not sign up to defend and protect a nation that stands with murderers and thieves and deceivers and liars. No, no. No. So I, now as a British citizen, I expect, yes I do, I expect, of course, will I get it, but I expect all the decent members of Britain's Parliament to stand up and demand exclusion of the Israel lobby until such a time as they see fit to elect an actual human being to govern their nation instead of this set of bloodthirsty, evil, racist, misogynist monsters. Okay, that's what I expect. By 2020, that's what I expect. Of my grandfather's legacy, you know, the interest that has built up on what they did, the progression of the interest, like the interest on the money. Where's the interest on our rights? Instead you want to take it away. No, 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 no. Dots joined up. Thank you for taking the time to listen, people. But like I say, the universe is there with you. Understand that. Step into your universal self and out of the evil characters that we're all forced to play in this ridiculous criminal world.